Hi everyone, I'm Courtney Poole and welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about what is food addiction and overeating and mindless eating and emotional eating. What is the definition of these things? How do I know if I'm doing it? How do I know if this maybe is something for me to look at? Some of you who are watching this video might feel like, girl, I know. I got it. I'm good. I'm aware of it. But I like to sort of define it. I think it's a good step before we get into more of the details about why we have this and how to heal it. So those will be in more videos later. But in this video, I just want to kind of define what is compulsive or addictive behavior with food. So first I want to start out with the traditional kind of definitions or explanations for what describes these things. And then I want to suggest some expanded definitions. So what I feel is actually also a part or sort of indicators, right? And so we'll be talking about both of those things. So to start, I want to read off some of the traditional definitions. So these things were taken from online dictionaries, our lovely English dictionaries online. And also like psychology websites. So they're kind of the psychological definitions of these behaviors as well. So I'm going to be reading my little list here, so if you see me looking down. So again, we're kind of interchanging all these different terms. Not all the terms actually delineate the same exact behavior, but they're all kind of along some similar lines of like something's going on with food, right? That's not so good. So the kinds of things that are associated with these behaviors: eating to excess, eating more than is needed or more than is healthy. Binge eating is often described as a short feast where a person consumes a large amount of calories. These behaviors often involve a feeling of a lack of control and often, though not always, result in weight gain. This kind of compulsive behavior is usually associated with eating when we're not hungry and overriding signals of satiation. And so all of those things I think are spot on. Those are all good indicators to know whether a particular behavior with food or drinks is a compulsive kind of behavior. And just as a side note, we're not just talking about food, we're talking about drinks like that also might affect things. So whether that's alcoholic drinks or coffee or soda or something along those lines too. So basically compulsive eating and overeating and binge eating and all this stuff, it's often about when we eat, so whether we're hungry or not, how much we eat when we eat, like in quantity. And also, I would say it's also about, are we addicted to a certain kind of food or certain kinds of food? Sometimes I wouldn't even consider them food, right? But are we addicted to certain kinds of food that are not so good for us, right? So almost independent of when we eat, how much we eat, something like I've got to eat cheese or I've got to eat chocolate or I've got to eat sugar, things where it's like, or junk food addiction, things like that. So basically, if any aspect of our behavior with food or drinks is sabotaging our goals, either with our overall health or with our weight, if it's affecting us negatively in some type of physical way, then there's probably something about our behavior with food that is addictive or compulsive. And by the way, in this video, at this point, I feel like I want to clarify that this defining kind of thing that I'm doing, it's not meant to feel like a judgment or to make you feel like you're being judged. As you might know, I had struggled all my life with pretty severe binge eating and compulsive eating, and I know what that's like, and there can be a lot of shame involved, and so sometimes people have that stuff come up when it's talked about. But I want you to know that we're just trying to define it. It's not meant to be a judgment if you do these things, or if you do have some of these different behaviors. So now I want to talk about what I feel is actually kind of a more expanded version or expanded definition of what compulsive or addictive behavior with food might be. So all of the things that we've talked about already, some of the indicators, and one of the easy ways that you can know if a particular episode or thing that you might have done with food or drink was a compulsive or addictively motivated thing is to basically look at, well, was it logical for my body and my body's health? So in other words, was I hungry and then I ate and what I had was well-rounded, good for me, gave me some good stuff to fuel my body with, and I didn't eat too much, I didn't stuff my body and burden it, and other factors, So it's like, if it's logical, don't worry about it, you're good, But if it wasn't logical, then it was emotional. And when I say emotional, it was actually sort of an emotional eating thing, right? And so that's it's a bit of a catchphrase, but you can kind of think of that. Like if it wasn't logical, it was emotional. And so I would consider any addictive behavior with food to be any behavior which acts to suppress any feelings or emotions. And as we'll talk about in future videos, that's actually the whole reason why we do it, is to suppress emotions and feelings. And we're not going to go, like I said, as much into why or how in this video. We're just kind of defining it. But if it acts to suppress our emotions, then it falls under this category as well. And basically, you can kind of look at it like if there's any of the behavior with food that is affecting your relationship with yourself, that might be affecting your ability to feel connected emotionally to yourself, but also maybe is affecting your relationships with other people, or is affecting even things like your emotional progress, or your spiritual growth. And the truth is that any time that we use compulsive or addictive behavior in order to avoid some kind of emotions, which again is why we do it, it actually does affect all those things. Sometimes we're not always aware of it, or we need to kind of look at the different factors, but it does always affect everything. And on the spiritual side, it's like one of the things that has been a big part for me as well is realizing that my compulsive behavior with food too, it affects my relationship with God. There's really no way to sort of have these addictions with food and not have it affect your spiritual growth or your relationship with God if you believe in God. And so it's, it can be a pretty far-reaching thing. And so, yeah, you can kind of ask these questions to yourself, ask myself, is it affecting my ability to be connected to myself? Is it affecting my spiritual growth? Is it affecting my life overall in any negative way? I'm sort of saying, like, is it affecting me in any way beyond just my body or my weight, or my health? Are there other ways it's affecting it? And I would also define compulsive or addictive behavior with food to be any kind of choices we make where the way that we're eating or drinking something, that choice is negatively affecting not only ourselves, but if it negatively affects anyone else or anything else. So if that behavior with food negatively affects animals, if it negatively affects the environment, or if it negatively affects other groups of people, then in that place, it's not going to be based on love if it negatively affects those kinds of things. And so if it's not based on love, then it's going to be, because of some type of more compulsive desire. So I hope that helps. You kind of look at like what might be going on. And as I said in future videos, we will talk about the whys, the hows, the how to change it. But this is kind of where we're starting. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye everybody.